Operation Boated Barbecue, or BB2 for short, is Potato's 14th community MVM operation that has launched on July of this year. The operation has opened up a fundraiser supporting the Southern California fire relief and has set a goal of $10,000 to meet, and oh lord, they've already met their goal. This is the first operation to release this year, which is surprising given that for the past few years, Moonlight, which was another community MVM group, would have had an operation released already. But as of January this year, they have merged with Potato and allowed their past missions to be hosted on their archive server, which also explains why this operation in Potato's catalog has the most amount of missions and maps after like 6 years. I'm going to use this video to talk about most of the new playable content that is within BB2 based on my time from completing the entire tour. I'll start off by talking about the 7 maps that are premiering within the community MVM scene, as well as some of the missions that are featured within them. We will first look at the map the campaign's poster takes place on, Ventus. This is a French fishing village residing along the seaside coast, with a beautiful sunset over the horizon obscured by a pile of rocks and a half-sunken carrier tank. The story of this map is that it is used to manufacture holy mackerels for Manco, and Grey Man wants to destroy the village. The layout doesn't have much to it, as it is quite a short map, and a very open one at that. The front is over at the opposite side of the map and has a forward upgrade station on the village side. The robots will spawn out of the carved openings of the cliff, as well as on the far left with the shallow water and a few rocks. The path will divide between 2 paths, either going right towards the village or along the beach with some ship debris. For the right side path, they can head straight through the village and will either take a right down the road leading directly into the hatch, or continue further down the road where they will walk up a small set of stairs, dropping down onto the sand and then walking around towards the hatch. The third and last route this path can take is by skipping past the village, where the bots can go through the underpass and then go around towards the hatch, similar to the drop down by the cafe. For the left side path along the beach, there is only one direction the bots will take, and it's by walking onto the pier and then heading up towards the hatch. And then finally for the tanks, they will drive up towards the beach from underwater and turn onto either of the 2 paths. They can either drive up along the road from the village towards the hatch, or down through the underpass and going around. Now, I'm not going to be criticizing these maps too much, but there's kind of 2 big problems going on with Ventus from a gameplay standpoint. One obviously being that its open areas are quite exposed, and the bot navigation is pretty bad. They'll either get stuck on something or veer off their main path. As far as I'm aware, the nav mesh is packed within the map file, so it's entirely up to the map creator to fix it. Fortunately though, the one and only mission in Boated Barbecue won't ask for a lot of effort. It's an intermediate called Vacation Invasion. This mission has its variety of robots follow a summer beach theme based on the map setting. All of them wear sandals with human feet. Jesus Christ. This mission is nothing too crazy, but it's quite committed to its theme and a rather easy experience at that. There's definitely some fun to be had when getting through the mission. The second map we have is Apex. This map takes place at night in the Arctic tundra, where a supercomputer resides within red space for reasons. At least that's what the map maker says anyway. There's a forward upgrade station outside, with its building marked out by 2 lights and a painted sign that says upgrades. The front has 3 robot spawn points that are marked out by the dirt tracks. In a clever way, 2 of them also share the same spawn point with the tanks. Compared to Ventus, this map's layout is rather simple, in that the bomb only follows one path from the front of the map. The first area of the map can be a little challenging to hold down, especially when all 3 spawn points are utilized. 3 of the pathways here can be overtaken by the bots as soon as the bomb gets far enough. Fortunately, the middle area offers a nice choke point for all robots to funnel into. As the bots breach through, they'll continue along the dirt path into the base. The tanks are different in this regard. The one spawning from the middle and the far right that both go through the metal bridge will follow the main path, while the ones appearing from the far left and the far right that drives up next to the warehouse will drive around a small hill before continuing onto the main path. And then finally, the third area is the base inside a cavern with the supercomputer. There's only 2 playable advanced missions for BB2. One is called Glacial Gauntlet, a mission that largely features custom bots that can deal the cryo effect. This effect can slow down your firing and reload speed by 25%, as indicated by this slightly visible blue overlay, and with a funny little detail where you turn frozen once killed by a cryobot. The second mission is Malware Malfunction, a mission that prides itself on featuring an assortment of custom tanks such that it encourages you to run a tank buster loadout before beginning the mission. There are some unique tanks to be seen, like a teleporter tank that spawns robots, a tank dozer with a large level 2 sentry on top, as well as a couple of tanks that are ubercharged along the way. Next, I'll be talking about Smog, an industrial facility taking place under a brightly lit night. The map's layout is mid-sized and quite reminiscent of a horseshoe, where the front is on the other side of red spawn. In order to get there, you have to either wrap around the middle of the map by going down or to the left, head directly into the middle structure, blast jump from the drainage pipe, or just simply go through a shortcut. The spawn points are very much straightforward, just the drop downs from the left and right, though I would have preferred that the bots from the right side didn't just appear out of thin air. And of course, there's the tank tunnel that's just directly down down the right spawn point. The bomb path here will only follow one path. The bots will wrap around the middle and only go through the relatively small side path. However, if a tank is able to reach this corner, it will proceed to lower the gate that's blocking the storm drain, allowing robots to get through the underpass quicker. While this is the main path, you will sometimes see robots flank through the metal walkways as well. Regardless, all robots will funnel further into the main path before taking a turn towards the hatch. There is a front upgrade station that is between the power station and the Comparo Pharmacy and Floristry. Right next to it is a metal panel with the numbers 1, 2, 3. This is also present in red spawn, and this highlights one of the key features of the map where there are 3 gates. Basically, they are extra spawn points that the missions will utilize to spice things up. Now luckily the missions on here will warn the players with a big annotation to let them know ahead of time. At least in BB2, you will often see the first gate being used, though sometimes gates 2 and 3 will be open that are in the middle and by the hatch respectively. But this map also features a sort of weather-based gimmick that the 2 missions on Smog will introduce you to. The intermediate, which is called Hazardous Haze, will introduce you to the smog effect around the midpoint, where the map becomes enshrouded in fog, almost like Silent Hill in a way. The advanced mission, called Respiration Restriction, will introduce you to the acid rain effect that is apparently acidic enough to cause damage to players, dealing quite a bit of damage but also providing a speed boost to help you get to cover. The map also provides ceilings out in the open across as many choke points as safe zones, thankfully. Our fourth map of BB2 is Charon, a very big and lengthy map in more ways than one, that's also available on the Steam Workshop. The space station is a multi-stage gatebot map that takes place on an asteroid in who knows what galaxy in an apparent attempt to find new life forms and fight them. And somehow the robots have launched their carrier tanks to destroy this relay station. A typical mission will have you inside the base in front of gate B. This first area has its bots spawn through this main gate or the upper right entrance next to it. The bomb path will always go down below, passing the corner with the forklift. The path will divide between the route that goes around the stairs with a slightly covered floorboard, or the route under a walkway with a glass panel that is the shortest way onto the hatch. There is also a death pit along the main path that the map refers to as the gravity core access chute that crunches your entire torso before dying from a long fall, or agonizing pain. At a certain point, the entrances leading to the outside will unlock for you to walk out. Unlike some of the other space-themed maps, this outside area does lower your gravity, as indicated by a sign next to the main airlock. It's not much, but it does allow for some jumps that normally would have been possible. It's here where you'll meet Gate A, the second area of the map, where the bots that carry the bomb from the main gate will head up towards the right side ramp leading towards the main entrance into the main base, though occasionally you will see robots coming up from the far left that are able to flank players and enter through the main entrance. Once the mission is done with Gate A, you'll wrap around towards the left where you have a pretty high vantage point over the third and last area. This third area features the last 2 remaining spawn points. Also on the left here is the forward upgrade station, custom made with a few items on display, along with a calendar having a freaky looking character. The main spawn point here is the lowest opening next to the base. The robots will walk out straight as they traverse the valley under the broken bridge, sharply turning right and then passing through the middle of the second area before reaching the ramp there. Though if any gate bots spawn from here, they will instead go around the rock formation in front of gate A before proceeding to capture it. The second spawn point is this upper right flank directly across the vantage point. The gate bots here will follow along the cliff side before descending down the ramp and then going straight towards gate A. For any regular bots here, they will instead head down towards the lower cliff side and walk onto the main path. Now in terms of missions, there are 4 of them made for BB2. 2 of them are intermediates, one called Crash Landing featuring an assortment of space themed robots, and the other Orbital Breach, a mission that ramps up in difficulty towards advanced but still remaining fairly easy to tackle. Speaking of advanced, the other 2 missions are advanced difficulty. One is called Atmosquake, a mission with plenty of shield medics to go around, as well as a chief support sniper adding a bit of challenge to the overall experience. And the other is Oz Terror. This one is quite special as it is a one-wave endurance mission that progressively opens up the map while also making the effort to tutorialize the map's layout. It also features unique things like dispensers with a map-wide radius that needs to be focused on occasionally. Unfortunately, me and a few others had issues with the sound it makes can play static. The only fix I found for it was to delete your sound cache in the sound folder so that the intended sound effects can be played. Before moving on from Charon, I'd also like to highlight that this map also includes an assortment of Easter eggs and jokes. The office that is in front of Gate B has a large monitor inside displaying messages of the day. The message changes after every wave, I think, which is definitely worth checking out every now and then. Looking down the metal grates that are also in front of Gate B, you'll also notice a cell block down below. On the left side, you'll notice some very peculiar looking artifacts. The one on 020 is POB.81, nicknamed Cube. The info on this one is a little hard to read without note clipping, but is noted for following heat signatures and inducing fatal migraines upon contact. The next two are impossible to see normally, but below these artifacts, one of the cell blocks holds an A-posing menace, and the other is directly across the cube on 024, a face on the wall indicating the author's signature. Now the demo man with a giant mallet wasn't there just for show. He's actually guarding the secret area of the map, which is unlocked through doing stuff which I will providing the solution of here. If you don't want to hear the spoilers or just want to move on, I'd suggest skipping towards the timestamp on the screen. Now the way to unlock the secret is by shooting 7 skulls. These skulls are decorated with a top hat and the marksman cosmetic. The first one is in the armory right side of the red spawn, right between the weapons on the cabinet. The second is easily missable, but if you pause before walking out the right door, you'll see a skull in the dark space above the 2 pipes in a side room. The open floorboard by the stairs has a crate full of beer, but besides it is the 3rd skull. The office with a large monitor has the 4th skull next to the computers. Still inside the building, there's a small area with an open grate, as well as a small set of stairs. The pipes below these stairs will have the 5th skull underneath. Out on the second area, there's a little space with a red barrier and a medium health kit. Right above these 2 objects is the 6th skull. Then finally, at the forward upgrade station, there's the 7th skull that's next to the 2 weapons on a metal cart. Once all 7 skulls are unlocked, a demoman voice line plays globally, and the door towards the secret is unlocked. Here we are in the back rooms of Charon, but there's nothing here that scares the player, I promise. There's a door on the left side that you can break down. It'll take a while, but once you do, this happens.
I am free.
To exit out of the back rooms, you simply have to follow along the path until getting through the 2 sets of doors before returning back to red spawn. Our next topic is Sand, a name given to the 5th map we'll cover in BB2. This map has an undercover Manco data center set nearby a water treatment plant in the middle of a desert on a sunny afternoon. In terms of layout, this is certainly among the longest, but features 2 linear paths with shortcuts in between. This front offers a nice vantage point, with a forward upgrade station behind, along with a van acting as a resupply cabinet. This vantage point overlooks the 2 main spawn points, one directly in front that leads directly out from the carrier tank's ramp, and the other towards the left, a high drop-off point for the boss that spawned behind the carrier. There's also a flanking spawn point on the right side of the vantage point. It's behind this wooden fence with a body of water and an abandoned pickup truck. And then to the left of this flank spawn is a tank tunnel. The map is quite long, but only follows 2 linear paths. The first path is where they move along the flank side of the vantage point and traverse through the building covered in mist with trees and plants around. Walking out, they'll path towards the forklift before heading upwards into a wooden structure with an open window before descending down the ramp. Instead of going straight, they'll instead head up towards the opposite side with the red van, crossing the road before reaching the hatch. The second path is much more straightforward, where the boss move towards the left side of the vantage point before moving through a short tunnel. They'll head straight and around towards the drainage side before heading into the treatment plant. Exiting out, they'll make a sharp turn 2 times and head straight up the ramp leading towards the white van and reaching the hatch. As for the tanks, they'll drive around any of the sides of the vantage point, but they will both pass through the tunnel. Though something worth noting is that whichever side the tank took in the beginning will always take that side whenever there's diverging paths along the way. For the playable missions on this map, there's only one on here, an intermediate structured as a 3-wave endurance called Solar Soldier. A unique gimmick regarding this one is that it commonly features giants with giant teleporters on their heads. This mechanic allows the wearer to teleport in additional robots upon their death, kind of like beating down a piñata. The 6th newest map is Monsoon, a Southeast Asian inspired map under a dark rainfall setting, and is one of if not the shortest maps ever featured in Community MVM. This map is also on the Steam Workshop if you're curious in checking it out. The map's layout follows a spiral shape where players descend down from a base up top next to the main temple. Then the second area is a small set of land with short trees obscuring the streets. There's also a flight of stairs leading up to the temple behind a dead tree. Continuing along the path is where we're headed to a very small and cramped city that is flooded in water. The water does prevent fall damage, but also makes crouch jumping a little awkward around here. Turning right at the end is the front of the map. Before that though, the street with the yellow cab is where the map's tank tunnel is. There's also a flanking spawn point here, but if we're talking about missions made for BB2, none of them will use this. As we reach the front with the gray controlled base, there are 3 spawn points split across the left, the middle with a drop down, and the right that will all converge the bots towards the street. As for the bomb path, it's the same path we took, except in the opposite direction. Because this map is extremely short, there's no forward forward upgrade station, although the map provides a doorway for players at the bottom that teleports you back up into the spawn room to buy upgrades, and this spawn room does feature a shortcut that takes you less than 1 second to reach the front, although it becomes locked when the mission begins. Speaking of missions, there are 2 that take place on Monsoon, an intermediate called Weather Rex, featuring a variety of custom-made giants, including a bowman that has its huntsman fire like a burst fire, and the other, an advanced called Rolling Thunder, also featuring a lot of custom bots, but uniquely features those that can utilize acid pools to speed boost themselves and the players. It's a bit of a challenging experience overall, especially owing to the map's short and rather claustrophobic layout. Finally, the 7th map to be featured is Electric Avenue, a substation that is used to power Manco's production lines and is located next to a lake in the middle of the night. Reaching the far left corner of the map from where you spawn is where you'll meet the front. Here, the boss can spawn between the 2 corners on both sides and the carrier tank that can open up and allow robots to come out of. The one and only tank tunnel is this underpass with a tow booth that automatically lifts up for those that are coming through. The boss will carry the bomb towards this dirt ramp, though any flankers can come up the right side with the stairs. Oh, and the upgrade station's there, I guess. There is another spawn point on this map, which are the train tracks above. Reaching halfway along the path is a crossroad. The bots can take the right side path. Along the way is a death pit on the left. You can push the bots above the ramps or through the opening that's by the crossroad. Continuing up the dirt path, the bots will turn a corner into the main entrance of the substation and then heading straight towards the hatch. Along the way, there is another death pit that's overlooking the lake. Alternatively, they can turn towards the left path, heading directly into the substation upstairs. Inside, they'll head in before taking a sharp turn, going through a few gigantic doorways before arriving at the hatch. But somewhere on the left near a pile of pickups is the 3rd and last death pit of the map. For the tanks, they'll go through the same route as the bots. However, a neat little detail is that the map draws their pathing, which tells you which route a tank will go through. For any tanks that will go directly into the building at the left, they'll go through a tunnel by the stairs first before wrapping around towards the tunnel by this left entrance. Electric Avenue has 2 missions that are playable in the event. One is called Rolling Raccoons, an intermediate that doesn't have a lot to it, although you'll meet some funky looking chiefs along the way. The second is an expert called Obsolescence. This mission has some rather unique aspects to it, including some rather gimmicky yet challenging cell waves along with many chiefs throughout. However, its big spotlight is its final wave, letting you face off against a final boss with a very distinct moveset, one of which utilizes the map's environment to its advantage, drenching everyone in water as they send out swarms of neon annihilator pyros. Now then, with all the premiere maps shown, we can talk more about the missions. There is a lot, far more than what Potato had for the past several years. BB2 has 19 intermediates, 32 advanced missions, and 9 experts, adding to a grand total of 60 missions. I wish I could be surprised by that number. This section won't cover every mission on the list, but instead I'll be showing off some of the other various missions that have something quite special going for them. Crocodile Operation, an intermediate taking you to the swampy bogland. Its name perfectly describes what you'll encounter throughout, a variety of crocodile-themed robots. There's also environmental hazards that at certain points spawns crocodiles from the ground to bite anyone in the vicinity. Luckily, there's a warning sign around whenever it happens. Its final wave sends out an army of crocodile bots followed behind a crocodile chief that shoots rockets attracting its kind out from the ground on impact. Night Feast is an expert on Havana, and with this mission comes a large variety of custom tanks. Some of what you'll come across are combat tanks that are armed with automated turrets featuring a variety of weapons. Towards the end, it'll spawn a massive tank convoy featuring a drill tank, a teleporter tank, a sticky tank, and another combat tank sporting the minigun and the rocket pod. You'll also face against a chief pirate demo by the end of it, using a variety of weapons that progressively gets more dangerous. Flower Field features the Blooming Bulb, an intermediate that's inspired by Plants vs. Zombies. You'll even hear lobby music from one of the games while inside the spawn room. There are many robots decorated with plants along the way, but during the mission, you'll encounter Crazy Dave, a chief soldier with a pot on their head. By nature of being an intermediate, this one isn't too difficult, but it can provide some solid entertainment if you're a fan of the series. Scorched Skies. This is one of the missions that takes place on the classic Manhattan map, though this advanced mission has set the city ablaze, as the map is covered in flames with an orange sky. This mission also uniquely implemented a forward upgrade station that's next to the lower spawn point. I'm gonna be honest, I think Machine Attacks did this better. What Scorched Skies also has going for it are its unique gatebot variants. These new orange gatebots have their lights tinted with orange instead of yellow, and also in burning flames. These guys will take alternative routes to the gates, basically the paths opposite of where the yellow gatebots go normally. At some point, you'll come across an orange gatebot chief pyro that is armed with the Dragon's Fury, while also simultaneously shooting a volley of bombs, setting players on fire. AX-20 or A times 20, the second mission that's featured on Manhattan. This expert can be quite difficult, especially when dealing with its first half, but one of the many things going for it are its blimps that spawn above Gate A, A. They will path above the regular bomb path before making a sharp turn heading directly towards the hatch. There is a portal above where they'll head straight through, where they will be able to deploy a bomb. Another thing worth noting is its 2 chiefs on this final wave, facing both the Chief Heavy and the Chief Soldier on separate paths that are both a reference to the 2 cities missions. BX20, or B times 20, how creative. I suppose I'm including this one because of the other Manhattan mission. Not much going for this one, although when you get to this final wave, it's a much more difficult rendition of Bavarian Bot Basher's finale, with his stronger variants of giant bots as well as a larger variety of support bots completely replacing what was once uber-medic support. 6 Scottish Pentalon, one of the 2 advanced missions on Cold Town, is a mission designed around players all playing as 6 Devilman classes. The mission features custom upgrades and weapons suitable for his 3 viable playstyles, and some robots across his 5 waves will require effort from all 3 of them. On Humbridge, an advance called Runtime Optimization will have you fight against an onslaught of scouts for the entire run. There are not only robot scouts, but also human scouts that directly targets players instead of the bomb. Around the finale, you'll deal with a gang of competitive scout players before dealing with multiple chief scouts that are empowered by their energy drinks and companionship. Splash Zone, a mission featured on Waterfront. This mission predominantly features caustic robots, those of which can deal bleed damage to players but can also be cleansed by the map's water pools. There's even a finale where you'll face a chief soldier with their army support bots utilizing the status effect to its fullest. On Metro, we have Metropolis, an intermediate mission with its robots following a police aesthetic. A noteworthy thing about this mission is that it features some parts of the soundtrack borrowed from the Sonic Mania game to enhance the experience as you get through the waves. While there aren't a lot of unique custom bots to take note of, it does feature tanks holding banners of 3 types back to back, as well as a combat tank featuring a railgun and a rocket pod that will also be paired alongside a chief soldier. Dig of Reckoning, the only advanced mission featured on Watermine. This mission's predominant feature is its uniquely designed giant mining engineers that first start out underground that need to be damaged a couple of times before rising out of the ground with their mining drills. You'll be seeing plenty of them throughout the mission, with its finale featuring a massive quantity of them. Rust Bucket, one of the 4 advanced missions on Scrapyard. While this mission's gameplay mostly stays within the status quo, there is a very unique monetary reward from the creators themselves. They are currently offering a prize of 30 keys that will be split across a team that earns the #1 spot for speedrunning this mission. Currently, as I'm recording this, the #1 spot right now is held at 16 minutes and 10 seconds with a 6-man team. If you'd like to attempt this record, you have until the operation's event duration to claim it. Agaglobulinemia Genesis. Yeah, I totally didn't pronounce this name a billion times. It is an expert mission featured on Jungle Works. It has gotten notoriety for being the most difficult one to clear in the operation, but it's also filled with a lot of shitposts. You've got jokes and references across its chat messages and bot names. And of course, there's the custom-made Sentry Buster, decorated in yellow with a lovely face and a manco cap. They're called Handsome Guy in game, though I've heard others call this one the Agabuster. As I said before, this one really is a challenge that is meant to be taken seriously, as you'll have to clear its 5 waves with hardly any credits to work with. Its always demand a lot of strategy from every player, so you definitely want to coordinate with your team in order to beat it. For anyone that's looking for a hardcore MVM experience, then I'm sure you'll have a fun time getting through this one. Drop Database Devastation, an expert mission featured on Doppler. The mission takes you through the 3 stages of the map, though its beginning 1/3 of it can certainly challenge the players, with its 2 lanes spawning robots simultaneously. A recurring custom bot you'll face throughout are the stand-in tanks that, as the name implies, acts as a bipedal tank that can either carry the bomb or capture the gates throughout Doppler. There are many variants that you can see from these guys, ones that can shoot out grenades, or one that can move slightly faster than their peers. There's even one that also conch boosts their allies at one point. Sludge features an advanced mission called Claire de Lune. Where the prior missions featured a large variety of custom tanks, this one has quite a lot of blimps going for it. The mission spans across 8 waves, however they are quite simplistic at that in terms of lineup, though at certain points you'll come across a chief engineer being assisted by a giant medic that builds around the battlefield while playing Ring Around the Rosie. In its finale will have you deal with vaccinator blimps, completely resistant to a specific type, including one that can only be damaged by melee weapons. And then finally with Rancher, there is only an expert called Impasse. This mission is uniquely special in that it features a soundtrack that is originally composed by the creator themselves, who were also responsible for the soundtrack on Contact, a mission that was previously featured in Ghoulish Gambit. There are many custom robots spanning across its waves, with a couple of times where you'll face against chiefs. It is quite a spam-heavy mission with a lot of robots active at once, though there are many that consider this to be the easiest out of all the experts here. One last feature worth noting is this mission's Encore mode. This mode is able to be voted amongst your peers once you're able to beat the entire mission without failing a wave. Doing so will have you face off its waves over again, but with many changes to deliver on a much more harsher experience. This mode is completely optional and doesn't contribute to your progress, but if you'd like to hear more of Impasse's soundtrack, it's there. But trust me when I say that you should turn up the music volume for this one, as it definitely serves as the core experience of this entire mission. Now that the specially designed missions have been given their spotlight, I do want to mention a couple of other mission related stuff. Firstly, there were many missions that featured the Overclock system. This is an extended custom upgrade system that is available via the source mod menu, that's accessible by standing near the upgrade station. MVM has always had a problem with its viable weapons being rather stale, so custom upgrades like these are a nice way to bring up the less popular weapons up to par with the meta. Unfortunately, this is an opt-in system, meaning that only a handful of missions feature it. There are far too many to cover in this video, as pretty much every other weapon besides the best ones have it. So I'm going to put up a list on the screen for whichever missions feature this overclock system. There's also the custom weapons that are available on some particular missions. Unlike the overclock system, this is completely up to the creators individually to make some for their own missions. I'm also not going to extensively cover them because, once again, there's too many to go over. Instead, I'll also put up a list of missions that are color-coded in accordance to the creators that made said custom weapons. Now then, I'll be going over some miscellaneous stuff, and also with some stuff regarding Potato's website. Firstly, there's the gas passer rebalance. Community MVM has always been criticized for its ban on the gas passer since Madness vs. Machines, so it's been a massive surprise to see that Potato has recently made a compromise for this event. In short, the explosive gas passer has been rebalanced to deal much less damage than before, but is still able to one-shot medics that aren't overhealed. It also takes much longer to recharge overall. I rarely ever play Pyro in MVM, so I don't have much opinion on the rebalance other than saying that seems fine. Someone in the comments might have better feedback on it though. One other new thing that is gameplay related is the contract system. This marks its return from the Canteen Crasher in Madness vs. Machine days, which was like 6 to 7 years ago. With the resurgence of the contract system for BB2, it shares many of the same ones from Canteen Crasher, including a couple of team contracts, though all of these contracts don't need to be tracked individually. But unlike those two campaigns, BB2's contracts don't contribute towards earning anything aside from earning stars, but these kind of just do nothing. For the record, you can only get medals from this event by completing missions, so I guess this is just some extra stuff for any completionists out there. Speaking of medals, on the front page we can see that there were 6 earnable medals, split between 3 medals that are from playing the event and for donating towards the charity. This is definitely surprising, as this is the 3rd community operation to feature 3 earnable medals by participation, the others being Anniversary Annihilation and Binary Blackout by Moonlight. Although if we were just including Potato, I guess you could say this is the first one ever. Completing 10 missions earns you the Quintuple Baked Potato. 25 missions will give you the Parched Patriot Canteen, and having 35 missions done will earn you the Barbecued Buster. And just like with most community operations, BB2 has 3 donator medals split across $5, $15, and $35 tiers. They are, in lowest to highest, the Generous Gemstone, the Star of the Summer Solstice, and the Heart of the Lake. Finally, the last thing I'm going to cover is about joining a Potato server. Besides the server browser, which is pretty much self-explanatory, a brand new feature is the Matchmaker system. It's basically the equivalent of the menu lobby where you queue up to find missions you want to do. This is quite useful for setting up parties with a couple of people so that you can join into the same server simultaneously. You can also set up a private session so that you can work towards getting those low-man team contracts to prevent anyone from joining mid-session, though you do need to share your party ID in order to let them in. I solo queue when I play these missions just by joining the servers through the server browser, so I never really bothered trying out this feature. That being said, if I ever do decide to stream in front of a live audience, I'd probably use this.
Do we just vote pick everyone until you get to play?
No, let's just go to a different server. Yeah, I forgot that you have to be fast because the MVM server allows more than 6 people in it. Like, what are we doing?
And with that is the end of everything I thought was worth showing off from Operation Boasted Barbecue. The campaign will last until October 15, which is quite a long time, but I think it's definitely plenty of time to be getting through the 60 missions on here. I know this video is quite late to the party given the operations already released like a month ago, but hey, if you still enjoy the video, then do the like and subscribe thing everyone tells you to do. I hope you'll look forward to the second part of my coverage on Boasted Barbecue, where I'll be reviewing the missions and giving my thoughts on them individually.